Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our dear brother. The message reads like this: Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story? Is hidden identity. So I came here to South Africa when I was still very young, and I have my own secret that I want to share with you. When I came here, I had high hopes because I had heard that in South Africa, you can just find money everywhere. So I was very young and I just wanted to get rich very quickly. And I had told myself that after I would have gotten all of this free money, then I was going to return back home. But I want to thank God that He saved me. So in the area where I was staying, like it was deep in the rural areas, and there was this other traditional healer who was from Mozambique. He told me that he was going to need some items from me since I was working at this other farm which was close to that village. So since I used a home light machine at that farm, when the farmer would have told me to go and cut down some trees, I'll cut some extra trees in the bushes, then I would leave them so that the traditional healer can come and get the firewood, because there was always traditional ceremonies that were being done at his house, so he always wanted a lot of firewood. He told me that if I find any animal like a tortoise, I should come and I should sell that tortoise to him. With some South African traditional healers that were using the tortoise to make money-making rituals, charms. So since I was working in the farms, it did not even take that long to get a tortoise for him. One day, when we were busy fixing the wire on the farm, I then saw a tortoise, and I caught that tortoise and I placed it inside this other school bag that I used to put my lunch box when I'll be going to work. So I hid that tortoise in there because I did not want the boss to see that I had a tortoise in my school bag. When I returned back to the village where I was staying, I gave him the tortoise and he gave me money. He gave me money which was around 3,000 at that time. It was a lot of money because per month we were only getting paid 800 rands a month. So each and every time when I'll be at work, that was all that I was doing. I was no longer focusing on my job. All that I was checking was if I was going to be able to catch another tortoise. I was just looking for money so that I can sell whatever that I would have gotten to that same traditional healer. It then happened that he called me and he told me that he had chosen me, for he wanted to go with me to Durban. He said that there was an important deal there that could make me to become very rich. Brother Nash, when he mentioned the word riches, and I then saw that this was an opportunity of a lifetime that I have been waiting ever since that I have been waiting for ever since the time I had came to South Africa. We went to Durban, but quickly everything changed when we were there at this other taxi boss house. So this taxi boss, it seemed as if like each and every time when his charms would have expired, this was what he will do. He will take one of his CIA taxis and then it will be driven into Mozambique. Then it will be abandoned there in Mozambique as if it has been hijacked. So that was what he was doing. He had to throw away one of the taxis after the charms would have expired. At that time, I was then told that they had chosen me since I did not have any papers. I was untraceable. They wanted me to help them to get the head of a woman, which they said that she had to be, at least if she had one child, it was okay, but someone who had been married before. And when they said that they wanted a human head, I knew that they meant that they wanted me to murder someone. So I was now a hired contract killer. So I stayed there at that taxi boss house in Durban. This was for a week, but I was supposed to meet up with some guys that were also from Zim, but they were Ndau speaking. And when those guys delayed because they were said to be in Mozambique, there were some rituals that were being done on them, a cleansing ceremony. It seemed as if they had killed someone and the spirit of that person was bothering them, so they had to be cleansed. And as for that traditional healer, he even said that in his entire life, he had never met men that were as brave as those guys that we were waiting for. He said that those guys, when they are told to kill, they can slaughter a human being as if they are slaughtering a chicken. They just specialize whenever a traditional healer wants somebody parts from a human. Those were the ones that were being called. We waited for those guys, but there was a big delay. So this took more than a week. So I don't know, but I guess that it was by the grace of God. I then said that I just wanted to go into Durban, like into the CBD. Since this was the first time that I had ever been to Durban, I just said I cannot leave Durban without going into the CBD. So that traditional healer gave me some money and he said that, you know that you do not have a passport, so you should not walk around, and if you see a police van, you need to run, because I could not speak Zulu, so obviously they would know that I was a foreigner. And he said that if you keep on walking around, you are going to get robbed. They are going to see that you are not from this place. So I then went into town. When I went into town, I was just enjoying Durban, just seeing everything. That was when I said, let me just walk right to that corner, then I will turn around. So I kept on walking. So where I wanted to turn around, there was this other small church. So I just felt like embarrassed because, you know, you cannot just make a U-turn in front of a church, and it was just too small. This made me to feel embarrassed for those people. So when I went past that small church, I wanted to just go around the corner and make a U-turn. When I was passing through that church, then there was this other man who was an usher. So he was a Zulu-speaking man, but very soft-spoken. So he greeted me and he kept on holding my hand. And as he was holding me, Brother Nashi, I saw that his eyes, they were full of burning fire. But the fire that was burning in his eyes, it was not like a fire that wanted to consume me, but it was a fire that was filled with love, inviting me into the church. I wanted to refuse, but I just said, let me just get in there. Then maybe after 10 minutes, when this guy, when he would have gotten into church, then I'll be able to sneak out of the church. Since he was standing at the door, I just wanted to wait until he would have walked into the church. So the moment that I walked into the church, this was after the ladies of the praise and worship, they were already walking from the stage and the pastor was walking to the stage. He then started saying that some of you in this building right now, some of you are contract killers. Some of the things that he was saying, of course, I could not understand because at that time I did not even understand a single word of Zulu, but he kept on saying that some of you here, I can sense in the spirit that you are contract killers, and some of you are going to kill those that are innocent. But let me tell you this, for this is what God has said, he who sheds innocent blood is going to feel the wrath of God. When he said that, I felt as if I had been hit by lightning. I felt electricity going through my body. And the moment that he said that, he was sensing that there were some people that were contract killers that had been hired to do such a job. I wanted to leave. I wanted to run because of what he was saying, to walk away. But it felt as if on the chair that I was sitting on, I was glued to that chair. And I just said, let me just sit. And he kept on preaching. And I wanted to cry, but I kept on holding my tears back. It was only after some of the people in church started to cry, some were celebrating, that was when I just cried, and I did not want people to see that I was crying. The moment that people tried to convince me to go to the front so that I can give my life to Christ, I totally refused and I pretended as if I was okay. So I then went out of that church, but I told myself that I was not going back to that taxi boss house, and I knew that if I would go there, if I would refuse, those were like killers. They were going to end up killing me. And when I walked out of that church, I kept on asking myself, where was I going to get the money to return back to the province where this traditional healer had taken me from. That was when I had a soft voice that told me to walk around, and when I came across this other restaurant, a KFC restaurant, and I was then told to go to the bin, those KFC bins, and I was told to go and search in that bin. I was going to find some money. I went there and I was even embarrassed because people were looking at me with the way that I was dressed smart. I think that they just thought that this man is now losing his mind. I then digged in that bin and I then found some food, and you won't even believe it. That food, it was not even bad. That was the food that I ate from Durban, returning back to Johannesburg with that money that I found in that dustbin. And when I returned back, that was when I went to this other church, a Pentecostal church as well, that is from Zim, and I gave my life to Christ. But when I gave my life to Christ, I did not tell the pastor this confession that I am giving you right now. This is my own story. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our brother. That was his testimony. If you have your own testimony, please feel free to get in touch with one of our admins. Strange things do happen in this world.